everyone, this is Pete, and this is Space Rogue from Origin Systems, a game I've previously done a review of here on the channel, but I've never done a full playthrough of it, and I figured doing it on video would be a good excuse to show the game off a bit more than I had a chance to in that review video, and also it'd give me good incentive to actually sit down and play it for a bit. So this is going to be a long series. It's going to run alongside the Grand Stream Saga on PlayStation 1, which is ongoing at the time of recording, and we're going to see how we get on. So, for the unfamiliar, this is a space role-playing game. It's often compared to Elite, and there's a certain amount in common with Elite, but it's also very much doing its own thing as well, as you'll see when we come to play it. It's a really, really interesting game that doesn't get the credit it deserves, I don't think. So hopefully with this series, we will correct that somewhat. Now, despite the name, this is nothing to do with Rogue. It is not a roguelike. It is just a role-playing game in which you happen to play a rogue, as it were. Now we'll see the narrative set up in the intro in a moment. What is your name? Pete. Right, just getting a notebook up. On a routine trading mission in the backwater Corona system, your merchant ship, the Princess Blue, picks up a small craft distress beacon. No life reading, says Captain Dolphy. Looks like a derelict. You're on EVA duty, Private, so scope it out. Make it quick. We're behind schedule. As you pull on your vac suit, you wonder what blew the derelict. Thruster Fritz? Pirates? Surely not a Manchi attack, not this deep into the far arm. The Manchi are the resident aliens, who are insect-like bad guys. With reactionless thrusters, you maneuver smoothly towards the derelict. The airlock plaque identifies it as the Jolly Roger, a Sunracer-class scout ship registered in the Deneb system. You allow yourself to relax a little. After all, what self-respecting pirate would pick a name like that? The airlock opens at a touch and cycles you smoothly in. Not blown after all. Garnet laser, memory banks intact. She seems A-OK, if a bit Spartan. What went wrong? Alert! Alert! Screams a voice in your helmet mic. You rush to the cockpit to see the Princess Blue. She's under attack by Manchi Vulture-class hive ships. Evac! Evac! The helmsman shouts. Scramble! Scrap! And the battle is over. Before you can blink, the Manchi plasma torps strike the Princess's unshielded thrusters. The helpless merchant explodes in a flare of radiation. The Manchi ignore your derelict ship. As suddenly as they appeared, they vanish into the depths of space. You sit in a battered scout ship far from the nearest Imperial Starbase, alone, with no clear goal. Save survival. And here we are. We are in the cockpit of our very own spaceship. So, this game is part 3D flight simulator and part role-playing game, as you'll see. So, we are currently adrift in space. Well, we're not adrift because the ship works. But there's really nothing around us at the moment. So it's a good opportunity to get to know how the controls work. So you can control this with keyboard, mouse or joystick. I recommend using a combination of keyboard and mouse, and I do not recommend using joystick controls with this at all. So the keyboard controls use the numeric keypad on the ST, and they work a little bit like they do in Sublogic's Flight Simulator 2 of all things, in which you tap a key and that starts you turning in that direction, and the more times you tap that key, the faster you turn in that direction. So I'm repeatedly pressing 4 on the numeric keypad there, and that's turning me left. If you press the 5 button in the middle of the numeric keypad, you will stop turning straight away. And you can do that in any direction. So here we are turning right, and you can climb and dive, and you can do combinations of those as well. So I can start turning in one direction and I can start climbing, and it will do the same, the two at the same time, until you press those sort of center your control surfaces button. And you can also roll from side to side as well with the 1 and 3 keys. Now you can also use the mouse as well. There is a bit of a caveat to the mouse controls that I'll come on to in a little while. I just need to remember What button to press to activate the mouse controls? Control X of all things. That nicely intuitive control. So if you press Control X, mouse control will be activated, and you see we've now got a little crosshair, and that can be moved around the screen to provide sort of basically analog control. And this is quite helpful for spaceflight, but it's not good for anything else. Because for some inexplicable reason, having the mouse controls activated when you're doing anything that isn't flying through space, it slows the pace of the game to an absolute crawl for some reason. I don't know why. I've never been able to work out why, but just bear that in mind if you're playing the ST version. I don't know if that bug's present on the other versions, but it is very much present on the ST version. So our first thing we need to do is go somewhere and basically figure out what's going on. So we press N to activate the navigation panel, and that will load this display here. Right, we can then use this scan function here to scroll around the solar system we're in. So this is our location here. You see it says there's a message there. If we select that sector and press query, you can see the message that's there. You see that there's a log from the 23rd of February. I'm just going to write this down. This is a game where making notes is a good idea. Log 23rd of February. Can't think straight. Too much pain. Must warn D. Okay, that may or may not be relevant, but it's worth writing down those messages and also where you found those messages as well. So we're in the Coronis system, and that was at 2605, which is our starting location. Okay, so we can then scan around the rest of the sector. There's another message here, so let's query that. 17 light years to Deneb, heart of the far arm. So that sort of cylindrical shaped thing is called a Malia gate, and it's the way you jump between solar systems in this game. We will be doing a lot of that, but not just yet. This sort of floofy area, this is a nebula, I believe. We scan it. Sorry, query it. Darkhorn Nebula. So that will slow you down while you're flying through it, and it's also quite hazardous in the 3D view as well, so you want to try and avoid dealing with nebulas if you can. So this is something, a comet presumably, although it is orbiting the... No, that's the planet that's orbiting it, isn't it? So that must be like a comet or some other form of astral phenomenon. We've got some small asteroids here, and this here is the Micon 1 outpost, the first base to be established in the Far Arm. So the Far Arm is a cluster of solar systems that are sort of out on the fringes of the galaxy. A great place to do some roguing. Right, let's just scroll around and see what else there is. There's another Malia gate up there, and then this is Hyathra Starbase, named in honor of our glorious emperor Detrus Hyathra III. So that is a good place to go to get started, because that's a starbase, it's civilization. We might be able to meet some people, find out what's going on, get some news, and basically get rolling on our quest. So we select that sector, which we've already done, and we choose chart, and that will then... Sorry, we choose chart and then we select that sector. You don't you don't do like we did. So we select that. Course leading nav computer, then we press helm, and then your ship will automatically fly to its destination. Spacecraft detected. So that doesn't necessarily mean a hostile. In fact, it usually doesn't in the early hours of the game. But you can pause your movement at that point and go and investigate that spacecraft if you want. So if you want to become a space pirate, for example, you could see if that's a merchant ship and destroy them. If it's a hostile ship, the green alert over on the right hand side of the screen will turn red, and you will have to go into combat or escape from them. So we are near the Starbase now, so let's go back to the cockpit, and there it is, just in front of us. So what we need to do now is we need to dock with it. So let's increase our speed a little bit. I'm just using the keyboard to maneuver at the moment. That's because for situations like this where timing isn't especially critical, the keyboard is perfectly safe to use, but the mouse is better to use in certain situations. And then to dock with the Starbase, we just have to be moving slowly enough, which is below 18 on the speed gauge in the lower left, and then bump into the middle. And then you will dock. Docking privileges at Hearth are granted. We've done a routine check of your cargo hold and found everything in order. We hope you will have a pleasant visit. I'm just going to check. I do have the extra documentation here with me. I believe that, yeah, there is a star chart in here. That shows the links between the various systems, so I will probably need that at some point. So I'm just going to open that up and have that nearby to hand. And then now we are on the Starbase, you can see it turns into Ultima. Is that right? So you can then move around the Starbase again using the keyboard or the mouse if you want to. Like I say, I do not recommend using joystick with this game because it's really not built for joystick controls. So, and as you move around, if you press the enter key, you can inspect stuff in front of you. The sign reads, "Welcome to Hearth's Cantina, the 12 thrusters, serving the finest ales this side of the Imperial Arm." Alright, walk through the door, have a chat with this bloke. You see a ragged man running a hand through prematurely greying hair. Are you from the insurance board?" he demands. No, why? "Because the tightwads won't pay off the loss I incurred during the Basruti disaster. I've been chasing them across the firearm, and if I'm not paid soon, I'll go under." What loss is that exactly? "Why, the money for the shipment of NSBs I lost, the ones that never left Basruti Station's loading pad because of the disaster." What are NSBs? NSBs, man, NSBs, neurostabilizer boosters, beg your pardon. They're hypodermic injections used to temporarily calm nutcases. Enough serum in a single shot to stabilize a psycho ward. Very valuable, and they're sitting somewhere on Basruti. So, just get them. It'd be suicide to dock with Basruti, what with the monsters loose. And don't think the Imperium will clean it up soon. They're stuck in litigation with the genetics lab over who's responsible. Years might pass before anything's done. Besides, I've no idea where they are on Basruti. One guy did survive the disaster, some miner. He might know, but I doubt you get much out of him. The disaster twisted him. Just mention Basruti and he flips. Well, I've got to move on. So, I'm just going to make a note of that. NSBs on Basruti mining station. Alright. Good stuff. You missed. Let's chat with this thing. A robot bristling with odd appendages bumps right into you, bruising you slightly. "Excuse me, human," its speakers play. "I hope none of your components are damaged. Like all HAL 9000 series bots, I tend to be rather clumsy, I'm afraid." HAL 9000 series? The HAL 9000 series is a much more sophisticated version of the common repair droid. We can repair practically any mechanical device known to man, and we have a perfect operational record. "Did you have a query?" asked HAL 9000. "I am expected back on the Princess Rowena shortly, but there is time for a few questions." "Did you fight Nimanchi?" "Why, no. Our fleet commander has not yet ordered us into the fray. He is waiting for the Manchi threat to escalate, but we are all expecting to see action soon." "Did you have a query?" Princess Rowena?" "A Titan-class warship. She is the pride of the 5th Fleet." "Tell me more." "State your name," requests HAL 9000. The bot whirs for a moment. Switching to a public relations program, the bot says, The Rowena is equipped with the advanced attack and defense systems. For instance, a turret-mounted particle beam is a deadly weapon, able to lock onto any target, even within 1.5 kilometers. And her Class 3 4.5 shields provide sure protection against attacks. The Rowena's only weakness is her large size, which makes her sluggish, ill-suited for catching fleeing ships. Did you have a query? Asked HAL 9000. That's fine. HAL 9000 trundles off, bumping tables as he goes. Anything else we can get out of him? I'm okay. I'm hurt bad. Oh my, says HAL 9000, his voice full of concern. I'm not programmed for biomechanical systems, but I can attempt to repair. He swings one of his appendages towards you. On its tip blazes an acetylene torch. Should I start welding? Get that away. I was only trying to help, says HAL 9000, retracting the torch. Maybe you should seek medical assistance. Okay, nothing more out of him at the moment. This thing here, this is the galaxy's hottest arcade game called Hive, which we will have a look at in a moment. But not just yet. The guard ignores you. Nothing here. We can't read that sign. The barkeep ambles over to the counter and says cheerfully, "You look thirsty. What can I get you?" I'm good for the moment, because getting drunk causes your controls to go funny for a little while, and it's, as far as I know, there's no real value to doing it, so we will leave that for a minute. We can't go in there, because there's a no entry sign next to it. What's going on in here? Who are you? Hi, says the teenage girl. I'm Sibak. Who are you? Before you can answer, she's talking again. Ever play Hive? I just love that game. It's the best. Have you seen any bugs? I wonder if they're just like the ones in the game. What's Hive? Where have you been? On the Trojan colony? Everyone around here plays Hive. Of course, I haven't got past third drop yet, but my sister Tiwa, she's awesome at Hive. Too bad she's not around. We haven't talked in forever. You have a sister? She's on Lagrange, living with our dad. He's a diplomat. I live with Mom. You know how it is. Hey, if you see Tiwa, tell her to write. I miss her so much. The back sounds as if she could ramble on for hours about Hive, her sister, or anything else under the stars. You have more pressing matters, so you say goodbye and move on. So Sibak on Hiathra in Coronis has a sister on Lagrange. And if I look at the chart, let's have a look. The Lagrange mining station is in the Narcy system, which is two jumps away from where we are right now. So that's somewhere we can go and visit next, depending on what we stumble across. Now I know there's something here because I've played this before. You find a keycard, pick it up. Doesn't seem to belong to Sibak here, so she doesn't seem to mind us taking that, so let's just take that. Right, these guys will sell you stuff for your ship. You bust them up, we patch them back together. We also carry a full line of starship ordnance. So fix armor. You don't need any repairs. So we can buy weapons and stuff. We've got 1,500 credits to begin with, which is good to get started with. Greetings, Star Pilot. Look over a fine selection of aftermarket starship equipment. Everything we sell comes with a lifetime guarantee, and installation is free. So what have we got? I'm sorry, but you'll have to earn your Star Pilot's license before I can sell you one of those. Imperial regulation, you understand. Okay, so we need a license. Fortunately, I know exactly where we can get one of those. The sign reads, Office of the Imperial Representative. Sounds official. So let's have a chat with him. You see a distinguished-looking gentleman with silver hair and a winning smile. Welcome, citizen, he says. I am Aurelian, the official Imperium representative on Hiathra. Now, how may I help you, citizen? Asks Aurelian. Give me some info on the Imperium. What Imperial topic do you wish to pursue? Tell me about the Imperial leaders. The glorious and almighty Emperor Detrus Hiathra has ruled our Imperium for 60 years. In the far arm, Duchess Avenstar of Deneb has ultimate Imperial authority. Tell me some more about the Imperium. What are the duty of citizens? The duty of every citizen is first and foremost to our Imperium, to uphold her laws, further her goals, and fight and die for her if need be. Tell me more. About military authority. Since the rebellion, the military has been granted authority to keep peace in the far arm by whatever means it deems necessary, including the posting of bounties and shoot-to-kill rights. Okay, tell me about the pilot's license. So, you want a star pilot's license? Well, you'll have to pass a verbal exam, and of course there's a 10-credit processing fee. Are you ready? Yes. Let me find my test book. Ah, here it is. Now, the first question is, how many light years are there in a parsec? These are actual science questions they ask you here, so fortunately I know the answers. So this one is 3.26. That's right. The second question is, what is the spectral type of the hottest blue stars? That is type O. Correct, you're doing well. Now for the third question. What is the mathematical expression of force? Force equals mass times acceleration, of course. Well done. Now for the last question. To what does the star pilot swear his allegiance? Now we have to type it in here, and it is, of course, the Imperium. Congratulations, citizen, exclaims Aurelian. You've passed the exam and are now entitled to the star pilot's license. He hands you a blue card embossed with your name. Right, that will do. If there's anything the Imperium can do for you, says Aurelian, don't hesitate to ask. We exist to serve you, the citizens. Alright, so now we can kit our shit out. We can kit our ship out with stuff. Let's see what they've got here. So weapons, garnet laser, barrel laser, sapphire laser, and particle beam. Ideally we want to sort of work our way up through these weapons with an ultimate aim of getting the particle beam. Sapphire laser is a bit too expensive for us at the moment. So for the moment, what else do we need? Shields as well. We need about 5,000 for maximum shields. Countermeasure units, another 4,500. And special cargo pods, armor plates, and turbo thrusters. Okay. So let's invest in a few cargo pods. I've got 4 cargo pods now. And then if we go over here, the cargo merchant says cheerfully, "Welcome, free trader. If you're looking to trade cargo, you've come to the right place. What'll it be? I have a fine selection of goods available today, all at very reasonable prices. Take your pick." Right. Now, the trade routes in this are fairly fixed. There is a slight fluctuation in the prices over time, but not to the same degree as something like Elite. It doesn't really simulate supply and demand and such like. So it's just a case of buying stuff and hopefully selling it high. So I'm going to make a note of the prices of things here. So Hiathra in Coronis. We've got grain for 20. Titanium for 30. Supercomputer for 85. Solvent grey for 16. Video games for 24. Antibiotics for 68. Right, I'm going to buy some supercomputers. We'll take a risk on those. So get one of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them, 7 of them, Sorry, our cargo hold is full. Okay, so we got a hold full of supercomputers. Now, I don't think there's much else here on this station. The guard ignores you. So I think the guard ignores you. Yeah, that's about it for now. Now let's hop back on our ship and return to flight. You see the station sort of tosses you out to a safe distance and then brings you to a stop. Now, the spaceflight system in this, you have two modes of flight. You have cruise flight, which is indicated by the CF down in the lower left, and that means you set a speed and your ship will gradually accelerate to that speed and then stick at that speed. Your alternative is there's a Newtonian flight mode as well, where you will keep going in one direction until you thrust in another direction. Now, if I just find the reference card, I'm covered in bits of paper at the minute. Let me see. Control E, toggle between cruise flight and Newtonian flight. Okay, so let's accelerate. So we're moving forwards in this direction now. And if I turn in cruise flight and then center my control surfaces, I'm then facing that direction. So the difference in Newtonian flight, we got the key control already. What was it? Control E. Control E. Switch to Newtonian flight, and now it says NF in the bottom left corner. If I turn now, you will see that I'm flying sideways, because I don't start going in this new direction until I actually thrust in that direction. So that allows you to do things like fly backwards, basically. So you can switch back and forth between cruise and Newtonian flight. And you'll see that once you switch back to cruise flight, that's when you'll change direction. So you want to use the two flight modes accordingly and switch between them in order to change directions. You'll probably find that most of the time you want to stay in cruise flight mode, but occasionally Newtonian flight is useful if, for example, you're pursuing an enemy and they get past you. With Newtonian flight, you can basically flip round and point yourself back at them and destroy them. Right, I'm going to save my game here and then switch to navigation. And we're then going to chart a course to the Micon 1 station here. Helm activate. Spacecraft detected. And like I say, there are combat encounters in this, but you tend to be pretty safe in this initial sector. It's pretty firmly controlled by the Imperium, so you don't tend to run into pirates and stuff here. Ship has arrived at destination. Okay, so we need to find wherever the station is. You press T to activate the targeting computer. You can then use that to locate what you're looking for. And you'll see the little arrows around the outside of your view screen show you which direction you need to go in, and they turn yellow when you're sort of locked on, as it were. Let's accelerate a little bit. Now, this kind of space station, there is a small docking port that you need to up into in order to dock. So let's drop the speed a bit. And there's the docking port over on the right edge there. Now let's slow right down. Make sure we don't bump into anything. Just turn towards the port. Now this isn't elite. You don't need to be super accurate. You just need to bump into the vague area for it to work. Docking privileges at Mycon 1 outpost granted. Enjoy your visit with us and don't forget to stop in at our renowned cantina. Alright, so we are now at Mycon 1 in Cronus. Let's see what price we can get for those supercomputers we bought before we do anything else. Here's our renowned cantina. That's a bedroom. Where's your buying and selling place? It's locked. There we are. Hello. I want to hear. Lies. The cargo merchant says cheerfully, welcome, free trader. Looking over your cargo manifest, the merchant says, I might be tempted to buy some of this stuff. I'll make you the following offer. Alright, so... supercomputers sell for 120. That's profit. Lovely, lovely profit. Alright, what have we got here? I have a fine selection of goods available today, all at very reasonable prices. So you see, you don't actually lose any money on stuff that you buy. So here we've got grain for 25. Titanium for 51. Supercomputer 120. Solvent grey for 20. Video games for 27. Antibiotics for 96. Okay, so there's quite a margin on both supercomputers and antibiotics. So antibiotics, there's a margin of 28. And supercomputers, there is a margin of 35. So yeah, we did make the right choice with the supercomputers. Now, is there anything we can make a profit on taking back to Hyathra? Unfortunately not, I don't think. No, everything... Oh, no. No. Everything is more expensive here. Okay, so we won't buy anything here. We won't buy anything here. But we'll maybe do a few more runs back and forth between here and Hyathra. You've seen some lavish apartments in your time, but none to compare with this one. A glance reveals the finest furnishings and art objects. Floating among the splendour is a man reclining in an anti-grav chaise longue chair. The man eyes you for a moment, his face a blank mask, then his lips curl back into a smile. I know you, he exclaims. You're making a name for yourself, merchant. I take it you've come to learn from Sir Eld, the master merchant himself. Sure, why not? Excellent. Listen well, and I will reveal the secrets of acquiring wealth beyond imagining. But before I say more, we must strike a deal. A favour for a favour, as it were. Agreed? What's the favour? Ah, shrewd bargainer, Sir Eld laughs. One must always ask the price before shaking hands. The favour I ask is not much. You see, we are all entitled to our indiscretions. Mine involved a certain daughter of a highly placed imperial official. I must carry his forgiveness with a small gift, says Sir Eld, lifting a finely crafted statuette from the table. Priceless, really, but then so is this official's cooperation in certain matters. Will you deliver this for me? Yes. Splendid. I knew I could count on you. Simply deliver this statuette to Aurelian on Hyathra. When you return, we'll talk further. Alright, so that is a good reason to go back to Hyathra and get some more supercomputers to bring here anyway. Let's just drop by the bar as well. No one here. He moved. Raucous music blares from huge speakers, and against one wall a hive game beeps and clangs. Awful, isn't it? Comments a richly dressed man standing before you. Yes, it is. Ah, a man of taste. So rare these days. Most people would call that noise music. It just breaks one's heart or one's eardrums. But forgive me, I am Ghoul Barnett. Perhaps you've heard some of my music. Yes, I think. Did you know I was once the Emperor's court musician? I entertained the most powerful people in the Imperium. Iathra, Koth. I've many a lively story, but I suppose none of this interests you. Please, go on. Well, perhaps a pint of Selvian ale would refresh my memory, says Ghoul, eyeing you expectantly. Let's buy him an ale, then. You signal the bartender, who refills the musician's mug. That's our best ale, says the bartender. 10 credits, please. Visions of wasted credits pass before you. What person of greatness do you wish me to speak of? Asks Ghoul. Tell me about Iathra. He's a lover of fine music. Even plays the lute on occasion, quite well in fact. It's too bad he's gotten so old and tired. He can no longer escape the court manipulators, I'm afraid. Oh, how my throat is parched. Perhaps if you'll stake me another Selvian, I'll be able to tell you more. Sure, why not? Tell me about Koth. He thinks he's a noble, what with his medal and all, but he's a commoner through and through, and a crass one at that. The man had the nerve to call my music just so much fluff. Said he liked the sound of blaster fire better. What a buffoon! Oh, one more. Do you know anything about Duchess Avenstar? She's a charming girl. At court, she always had praise for my music. Too bad she was given that backwater Deneb fief when she came of age. The rumour at court was that Koth somehow arranged it. There's bad blood between those two. Enough. Well, it's been pleasant chatting with someone who appreciates the finer things in life, says Ghoul heartedly. Have a nice day. I'm sure he will be useful at some point. What about you, sir? Before you stands a Barkili far trader. He bows low and says, Greetings, human. You may call me Ichki. You notice his cat-like eyes widen in anticipation as he asks, Are you here for trade? Yes, it's trade. Ah, excellent. What I offer is knowledge, esoteric, accurate, and always valuable. On what subject would you be enlightened? I don't really know. Tell me about Basruti. I'm sorry, Ichiki sighs. I have no information to trade on that subject. Nothing else for now, then. Okay, I think we're done here. Right, so back to Iathra. To deliver that statuette and buy some more supercomputers. Oops. Helm! Activate. See, I'm very fond of this game because it's very much a game in the sort of Star Trek mold. In that it treats your ship kind of like it's a naval vessel, like it handles like a naval ship. The way it turns very slowly and isn't especially maneuverable, and a lot of your time is spent travelling over large distances. But just the nature of the gameplay feels very Star Trek as well. The sort of interacting with people and making deals with people, and the fact there is interaction with people is what set this apart from stuff like Elite back in the day. Okay, I've never been a huge fan of Elite. At least partly because of its control system. Okay, I found this a lot easier and more intuitive to control. The docking sequences, you still feel like you're doing something, but it's not absurdly difficult like it is in Elite. Like, I found Elite so frustrating. Like, you spend ages collecting together and filling up your cargo hold with stuff, and then only to crash when you were trying to dock with the place you were trying to sell them. All right. Let's buy some more supercomputers then. Oh, they've gone up to 100. Okay, that's still a profit though, hopefully. Oh, I didn't mean to buy methane. Fortunately, like I say, you don't lose any money when you sell stuff back. So, buy cargo, supercomputer. Actually, we didn't have methane before, did we? Let's add that to the list. Methane 22. Oh, some others as well. Dilithium 55. Let's still fill up on supercomputers because it seems like they want them over at Micon 1. Right, here's Aurelian. It's giving me a statue. You see a distinguished looking gentleman with silver hair and a winning smile. Sir Eld sends this gift, you say, presenting the statuette to Aurelian. Is this some kind of bribe? He asks sharply. Not at all. Ah, I see. In that case I may accept his gift, Aurelian says, taking the statuette and admiring its subtle curves. This is from the Sling period, I believe. Sir Eld does have a fine eye for art. Now, how may I help you, citizen? Nothing else. That's fine. If there's anything the Imperium can do for you, says Aurelian, don't hesitate to ask. We exist to serve you, the citizens. I'm good for now, thanks. Don't need a drink right now. Let's hop back on board the ship. And set course for Micon 1. We're not going to make a huge profit on these supercomputers, unfortunately, but it's better than nothing. Cockpit. So you notice with the targeting arrows, if they're pointing outwards, it means they're off the screen or behind you. Again, just head for the docking ports. Doesn't matter if you dock. Oops, too far. There we go. So you don't have to be too precise or anything like that. Docking privileges at Micon 1 outpost granted. Enjoy your visit with us. All right, where was Sir Eld? I think he was in here, wasn't he? Yes, there he is. You've seen some lavish apartments in your time. Ah, you have returned, says Sir Eld. My sources tell me you carried out my request perfectly. Much thanks. Now for my end of the bargain. 3 gems of wisdom. First, buy low, sell high. Lagrange has the lowest prices on minerals. Let's make a note of that. Lagrange. Cheapest for minerals. Yatra, the lowest on high-tech equipment. Cheapest high-tech. Sell agriculture on Lagrange. Luxury on Free Guild. There is the Free Guild. Free Guild is in Basruti, which is quite a long way away from where we are, so we won't worry too much about that. Second, know that contraband can be safely and profitably sold at Starbases if one takes certain precautions. Third, always have an ace up your sleeve. Consider this stealth box, for instance, says Sir Eld, holding up an exotic device. It can be a great aid for avoiding pirate vessels. Please accept it with my gratitude. Alright, we got an upgrade. Let's sell our stuff. Okay, still made a bit of a profit there. We're still down on what we started with, but we did buy a bunch of cargo pods, didn't we? So we're... Okay, we're making progress. So let's do a few more cargo runs like that. And that will get us a nice bit of money. And head for the cockpit. This is a very quiet game, as you probably noticed. So Future Pete may well have put some music in, just to make the silence a little bit less silent. If I remember correctly, there is, I think it's like an FM Towns version of this. There was some Japanese computer version. That there was a CD version of this. And it had music. So if I can find that, I will get Future Pete to brandy. I bet they would like that on the mining station. Oh, we shouldn't go back to the top of the list. After you've bought something. So let's buy a load of brandy. Evidently we've bought the entire stock of supercomputers. But surely they must want a nice thing like brandy on a mining station in the middle of nowhere. Spacecraft detected. Ship has arrived at destination. And time to dock again. There you are. Now, when I played this as a kid, I really liked it, but it was one of those games that I'm not convinced I completely understood what I was supposed to be doing in it. So I remember doing some little bits of plot. Like I remember meeting the girl Sibak, and heading over to find her sister and getting a letter from her sister and stuff like that. But I never really got very far in the what I suppose is the main plot of this game. I don't even know what happens in the main plot of this game. I just found it fun to play as a game where you're just flying around and you're visiting various places. Where was the commodities exchange? Not in there. Please buy my brandy for a good price. No, it's buying. Sell. A small profit. Not a huge profit, but it all adds up. What have you got? Not much. Okay, I think what we'll do, we'll call it a day here. I will do a little bit of grinding off screen to get a bit of money so we can get ourselves a better laser. I think is going to be an initial priority so that if we do get into combat we can actually defeat people. And then we'll rejoin this when I've managed to buy that new laser. So, for now then, it just remains for me to say, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.